What's going on, good people? It's Smitty here. This is just a comparison here on NBA Elite, comparing it to some of its previous titles on a lower generation platform. This is on PS2. Uh, Now the comparison here between NBA Live 03 and NBA Live 05. And this game right here, this is NBA Live 03. I'm playing it on the camera view is the baseline low. So in that way, just to be fair, people can see, they get to see the views in comparison to the NBA Elite, because I played that on the baseline low view as well. So just to be fair, so then you can see the comparison. But what I can basically tell you, and you can cop the games just to experience it for yourself if you like. I mean, the games only cost $1. $1 a piece. So um, it pretty much all three games handle very similar. Like in principle, they handle virtually the same, except that in the PS2 live titles, you actually have to hit. You got to hit a button to shoot. It's not laced into the analog stick. But the way it plays, the way it flows, the player models, as you clearly see, look exactly the same. You see that the fluidity of the game. The obvious reason why it's beefed up is because it's on the next generation console. That being NBA Elite. Um, the way that players all of a sudden are able to take off at the basket because of like the animation takeover or whatever. It's in these titles. It's in all three games across the board. Um, yeah, there's really no true player dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Like post players all have the same ability, just like this game. Virtually at everyone and like forwards and guards virtually had the same ball handling capabilities. So I mean, it's pretty like I said, pretty much everything is all straightforward and cut and dry with this game. Like now in this game, like the standout thing, like you see right there, everyone had this great shot blocking ability. Like everyone could absolutely blast the ball out. So, and that was a repetitive thing that happened with this title. Uh, but as you can clearly see, between this title here. Like now, one thing as you see here with Ben Wallace there, you seen how he lost the ball trying to do a crossover, and I tried there again and he lost the ball. Now that's the one thing Elite. Another thing Elite has over this. Centers and forwards have better ball handling capabilities. They're not playing it in respect to their actual ability because, as you can see, Ben Wallace couldn't even do one little crossover in the elite demo, Bynum, the Soul, Garnett, Jermaine O'Neal, they could take the ball through the legs, behind the back, do a little crossover and everything. Like they actually have great ball handling. Like not great, but they're doing moves that I never seen Jermaine O'Neal take the ball through the legs, behind the back in game. I definitely never seen Pau Gasol do it. And I know Will Bynum. I mean, unless they took from footage while he was in practice and they was goofing around. But like outside of that, I never seen him come into the game and just start handling and doing all that. Now, I mean, I know some people gonna say I'm just nitpicking or whatever, but that's just reality. I mean, I'm looking for the individuality. I look for the realism. I look for the simulation aspect of the game. I'm not looking for arcade pick up and play basketball. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if you look for just pick up and play arcade basketball, knock yourself out. You know what I'm saying? But me, I like a quality product. You know what I mean? So, but in this instance here with this game in 2K, I've seen so many people on Operation Sports going crazy on this game. talking about, and I'm talking about in the worst way, how terrible this game is, how everything is just not respectable and all that. Now they give it its few little points, and I'll give it its credits too. The practice mode is the best part of the game, no question. That little training part right there, that's the best part of the game to me because you see the fluidity, you see all the control you have and everything, and that's great. That's absolutely great, and I really respect it and I enjoy it. But that's where it stops though, because once you get into the whole dynamic of the 5-on-5 game, it's absolutely it's terrible. Like it's just piss poor. It's just like this game has de-evolved. Like this de-evolution just went completely back. They just took so many steps back with this game, and in no way, shape, or form are these guys like Natural Motion. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna put the vid up relatively soon. I'll put the vid up. Shout out to let me see. I don't know if I have his name right, but I think it's AV Avic 23. I think the name is because he knows exactly what time it is when it like he's the one that had put me up. Excuse me. He put me up on some very vital information, and I'll be giving him a huge shout out in that video as well because he honestly came through with the information. I think his name's Avid23. But either way, he knows who he is, and thank you for the information, and it'll definitely be put out. You know what I'm saying? Because this technology is nothing like Natural Motion at all. So it is not in comparison. This engine is completely beneath the Euphoria technology. It is completely beneath that. So I mean, I'm not saying that the technology is terrible, but it's just that it's not what people think. It's not what EA is selling. What they're promoting or what have you. So that will be put out relatively soon. But no, like I said, now in terms of this game, this I can't help but to think about EA and with their Madden title. You see how unlike, and you can see when it comes to the consumer. This is what I'm talking about. You see how I'm like if you just look on EA Sports Forum or Operation Sports or IGN or Metacritic or any game review site, you're going to see so many people straight up say this game's garbage. Across the board, how so many people are speaking out and saying this game's terrible, and a lot of people aren't going to buy it. I'm telling you, the power of the consumer and the power of choice is so critical. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, it has to be utilized. Even Optimus came out and just straight up said, "Yo, I can't buy. I'm getting the 2K." And this dude was standing hand over fist behind EA with Elite. You couldn't tell him nothing. And he straight up broke down and just said, "Man, this game's terrible, man. I can't even get down with it." He's supposed to be getting the game for free and everything. You know what I'm saying? Elite. And he said he trading that in to get and putting that toward getting the 2K. So that really lets you know something. So man, but I'm just gonna put it like this, man. If people refuse to buy the product, that's how you invoke change. Whether there's only one game on the market or not. Now let's just think for 1 second. Let's just say if there was no 2K basketball and all you had was Elite. You know how many people would get upset, but then they'll turn right back around and say, "Oh well, I'll just go ahead and buy it anyway." And then all of a sudden, people will be looking at myself, Apex, and everyone else that talk about basketball, and straight up will say, "Oh, we're all haters, and we're this, and we be getting cursed at, and everything else, all because we speaking the truth." It's the same thing with the Madden game, man. The Madden game is a broken game. But yet people just say, "Oh, well, it's got my favorite player. It's got my favorite team, blah, 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 blah." I gotta get it. Must have it. Okay, well, all right, fine. But the game's broken, flat out. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm gonna tell you something right here. I'm gonna tell you something right here before I end this video. We, the consumers, have the authority to make these companies change the product, make them go to the drawing board, make them go to the lab. They're not gonna go to the lab when you say, "Oh, this game sucks," but then you standing outside of GameStop at midnight. You see what I'm saying? They don't care about all that. You have to step up and you have to take the helm as a consumer and say, look, I refuse to buy your product until you fix this. When they see that when they see that consistently across the board, okay, people aren't buying our game, man. We got to make changes. That's gonna make people change the game. That's gonna make them say, all right, you know what? We're gonna have to listen to the consumer because they're making us. You know what I mean? But when you don't say anything, ain't nobody gonna change nothing. And that's when you get games. That's when you get efforts like NBA Elite come out looking mediocre and everything like that. That's like that to me is an equivalent of Madden. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a piss poor effort, and they just went. You know what I'm saying? Now these guys tried something out of desperation, but EA ain't desperate. They just say, hey, we just gonna put out. We're just gonna address the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna try and seal that leaky faucet with a band-aid. Like, no, you can't do that. You have to honestly go to work and actually make the game playable. Make the game fully enjoyable the way that you're capable of doing it. That's the whole thing. That's what it's all about. Give the true sim football experience that they used to do back on Genesis and Super Nintendo and all that, and on PlayStation 1 and 2. You know, before they came out with next gen titles. That's what I'm talking about. But until then, you're gonna get mediocre efforts, and that's why NBA Elite is comparable in gameplay to these lower generation quality efforts. You know what I'm saying? These dudes made an act out of desperation because the big wigs said, "Oh man, yo, we need to do something right now. We brought in Mike Wang and 2K still outsold us 2 times over." You know what I'm saying? So like at the end of the day, these dudes gotta come through. And the only way they're gonna come through is when the consumer speaks up by not buying it, by refusing to buy until they get the product right. So on that note, this is your boy Smitty signing out. Holla.